Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Tando Channel Book Club. I am so excited to be spending this time again together with you, celebrating African storytellers and amazing women who are telling our stories and their stories to the rest of the world. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching, please just drop in the comment box where you're watching from and what you're excited to be viewing today. So without further ado, all of you know that I always start every live with a quote from someone African, or at least someone we can trace some African descent from. So today's quote I picked because of the guest that we're having. This person's journey and what they said really captured for me the specialness behind our guest, who I'm so excited to introduce to you in a few minutes. It's a quote by Eric Smith, and he says, "When kids grow up not seeing themselves in books, they grow up feeling like they don't matter." And Eric Smith is a literary agent based overseas. He's a contemporary writer. He's just published a novel called Don't Read the Comments by Inkyard Press, and was the YALSA 2021 Best Fiction for Young Adult selection. His paperback will be out in April 2021. His journey reminds me so much of this young woman that we're about to speak to, and his quote, I think, captures the beauty of this book that we're going to talk about today that has so many things to be excited about. Hi, Tatenda. It's nice to see you from Mount Pleasant. Anyone else, just remember to drop your comments in the box. So without further ado, our guest for tonight is Ms. Tendai Garwe. Hi, Tendai. How are you doing?
I am well, Selena. How are you doing?
I'm doing really, really well. I'm really super excited about this live. I think my excitement has really been on an embarrassingly high level for the last couple of days as we've been building up to this live. I respect what you do and how you've built your brand in the media world. And, you're somebody who's always been very close to my heart, on a personal level. So I'm just like, So please forgive me for fangirling you. So hi, Wadzana. Nice to see you. Yes, so Tendai, yes, I'm a little bit like fangirl.
You're making me blush.
So, if any of you are curious and you are not one of the many 17 million followers that follow Tendai Garwe, known as Queen Sokostina, the one and only, the original online, then here's a little bit about her to just set up our conversation today. Tendai Garwe, aka Sokostina, is an award-winning motivational speaker, author, strategist, and influencer. She's an Africa University alumni, and she's winning in the media and entertainment industry. And guys, if you think I'm lying, just head on over to @Tendai Wenyasha Garwe on Facebook and check out what's happening there. Check out her YouTube channel, her Instagram channel, her Twitter channel. It's lit. It's fireworks. I mean, things are happening there, right? Tendai is an actress of note who features as Tambudzai in one of Zimbabwe's leading drama sitcoms, Muchaneta. She's the features director of Zimpaper's TV network and affectionately known as Sokostina by her ZFM and Cappy Talk fans. A voice that radio listeners has embraced over the years, and she recently published a book, A Letter to My Son, which has made waves in schools and on dinner tables in homes all over Zimbabwe and the world. She's the board chairperson for the Girls Legacy, and she also has worked in civil society for 10 years as a passionate women's rights activist. She's a proud feminist, and she has a son named Tawanda, who is the subject of this book, and he's turning 18 this 2021. So well done, Tendai, for writing a book where your son can see himself literally in the book, from the cover to the whole message behind the book. Well done for leaving that amazing legacy for him as a young Black African man in today's world. Thank you very much for this delicious, delicious book.
Thank you so much, Selena. I was like, is that me? Oh my God.
I know, you're like, wow. Yeah. Okay. So without further ado, let's get into why we wrote the book. Why did you write this book?
I wrote the book because I was it was accidental. Like I always say, it was a private letter that turned public. I had a road traffic accident on the 21st of December 2018. And I had quite an ordeal. I was in a coma for a long time, I think. And then when I woke up from there, I realized I could have died. And me could have dying, I realized the things I had not told or taught my son about life and success. You know, the basic one or two. So I started trying to write him how I was feeling and these lessons that I wanted him to learn, to say, you know what, even though I'm recovering because my injuries were very dire, I didn't know if I was going to still make it, but I was writing him, literally handwriting in an A5 notebook. And I just wanted to let him know that's how the book happened. Accidental. It was a letter that was too long that went public, basically.
So I've got a little bit of the inside scoop here, having known you personally for some years. And one of the things I've always known about you is that you were going to write a book. I've always known this about you, like from day one of knowing you. And I think it's been over a decade that I've known you. And so was this that book that you intended to write?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I had another book, which what's crazy is I think I have a thing about letter. So the book I actually went to this I went to a writing seminar in Uganda, and I a book called A Letter to My 20s. So I just turned 30 when I went to this African women writers was a fellowship, and I started writing a letter to my 20s because I wanted 30s to address 20s, the things that 20s could have done differently, but I knew 20 couldn't respond. So it was more like 30 was ranting to 20 to say, why did you make that decision? Why did you do that? If you had done that, we could have been something else. Or, you know, so that's the book I was writing. But there also are the books that I have started and left in the process. So it's not the only book. This is not the book. The book was a letter to my 20s, which actually, unfortunately, when the car accident happened, my laptop, my phone, everything got stolen. So I have no data to it. So I think I just want to start again. But of course, now that I've said it out, I now have to work on it, right?
Yeah, you do. And I mean, this book that you wrote has so many wonderful turns of phrase. I think that you have a way of putting some really big life lessons in very short, succinct ways. And, you know, it's not only me who's been affected by it, it's like all of you, the people who chose to endorse the book, even your forward. So, I mean, it's really kind of amazing that this was first of all an accidental story, like following like a huge, well publicized, horrific, like life-changing accident, and then actually the process of writing it was an accident. And I sometimes wonder how accidental the accident is, because like there had been a foreknowing for a long time that you were going to write a book, but maybe our ideas of what's going to come first are very different to what is actually destined for us to do.
Absolutely, Selena, because I can tell you how accidental but perfect timing it is. You know, in the fullness of time, God aligns everything to be perfect. So I think I'd almost completed writing the letter, and my friends Rodney Harinangoni, who's from Bulawayo, had traveled all the way to come and visit me when I was now in my rehabilitation home. And he saw like 5 stacks of books that were on my it's called what I'm forgetting now because I haven't been in hospital for a while, a Kaji table or something. And he says, what are those? And I was like, oh no, I was writing to a letter, and I don't know, it's just too long. I need to find somebody to send it to him. So he takes this book, he reads it, then he puts it inside his jacket. And he says the next time it will be a book. So, and he didn't like say, pay me this or whatever. It was his gift to my recovery. So
Wow.
accidentally turned it into a book. I was friends with
Definitely,
the
definitely.
editor, which
But
means
so many.
if you had shown up and seen it, I'm sure you'd have done the same. So it's just the alignment was just perfect. It all just fell into place.
Definitely. And I love what he did with the book. I mean, folks, I always do this because I love hardcover. I know that like the picture, the image doesn't show correctly when you do it like this, but oh, it's so beautiful, so beautiful. Um, so I love what he did with it. I love the cover, the back, the front. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And one of the things that I also love from the book is the foreword. And I just wanted to read because I got in trouble a couple of weeks ago when I did a live, and then somebody said to me, I've always been wanting to read that book. And when you were talking about the book, I was like, "Ooh, don't give too much away. Don't no spoiler alerts, no spoiler alerts." So I'm really trying very hard to talk about the book, like in the beginning pages or like, very incognito and like some of the good parts that come later. And nobody's going to give me spoiler alert issues for saying something from the forward. And this is something that I thought was very profound. Um, a Letter to My Son is a masterpiece of love, courage, inspiration, prayer, respect, counsel, wisdom, and the war to peace. This timeless collection of lessons may have been triggered by the author's accident, but it comes from a wellspring of life experiences. Tendai, thank you for parenting parents and sharing a template for, let me just turn the page up, discussion at dinner tables, for comfort, for rebuke, for correction, and for training of our future leaders. I thought that was so beautiful that somebody would say that about your book. And this leads me to something I'm really dying to know, which is having not planned to write a book and then or make this book the book. What was the feeling of now getting the response, the reviews, the endorsements, and the impact in terms of how people received the book?
I should say there was a whole gobsmacked side of it. Like I couldn't believe it because I had written it for a then 15 turning 16-year-old when I was in hospital, and I really had broken it down for him to understand for his age. That's why they're very short chapters and they're very precise. But you can, if you know me personally, you can hear my voice. You can actually hear that's how I speak on an everyday basis. That's how I believe. So I did align my beliefs as well in there. I wasn't per se shocked when young people enjoyed the book. I was shocked when the parents who were buying the books for their children started saying, "Oh my God, thank you. I loved this. I loved this." And when one of my mentees read it and was like, "Oh, this is definitely going to be a lifestyle book, a life skill training book at our school." And I had my friends buy for bigger libraries and all that. So I was shocked to say, wait a minute. Okay, I know I'm wise, but am I that wise? I've always thought myself to be a person with a good head on their shoulders, but I didn't expect it to break out like that. Like it went all over like body lotion, and people were calling me. Some were asking me about specific lessons. What did I actually mean? Which is so exciting. I think for me, one of the other things that also stood out was my brother, had, who's in the state, bought a copy of a book for his son here, uh, to he would have a daily conversation with his son, chapter by chapter, as a guide. So there was this whole, oh my God, and how to buy the book, and I was flying off the shelf. I thought maybe there are two things that happened. So I thought people wanted to see, why is she writing a book? What is she even saying? When people are like, are you even, And then the other people were really excited because they knew, because the extracts of how I felt and what I was going through in hospital that I was telling my son. So there's also, and you've known me, Sal, I live my life right here for the world to see. So it's also there. So it's me, it was a whole lot of emotions when I realized actually this book is a hit.
Definitely, and it is a hit. And it doesn't surprise me that it has been so profound for so many people, and some of them are blowing up the comments on the live. We've got Nikki Selwyn Gwazani. Oh, yes, we love the book, and there's a million hearts coming out of the eyes there. Sapi Bachi on YouTube is saying that's a beautiful cover. Also, another comment in relation to Rod's gift. That was a generous gift. Tawa Chimene, hi. Yes, she's on Facebook. Glad you joined us. And Musindo Musonza Sokostina, so good to see you. So your people are showing up and blowing up the chat like it's on fire. Guys, thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions for the Queen in the house tonight, on book club, please drop them in the comments. Or if you just want to share your thoughts on what we're talking about, we'd love to hear them. Please drop them in the comments. We're here for you live on the Tando Channel Book Club. Wow, so that's amazing about the impact of the book and all the places that it's gone. And like, if you consider that you've been in recovery for over a year now, that's a lot to have done. I would have just been focusing on getting better, but like that was like a lot. That was a huge experience. Like internally, was it also like a healing process for you? Would you describe it as that?
Yes, it totally was, because my son left the January of 2018. My mom died February of 2018, and then I crashed December of 2018. So it was really a tough year for me. And there's so much I hadn't processed, things that I needed to talk to myself about. So there are some lessons that would make me cry, some lessons that were hard for me, some lessons that I knew. Not only was I telling Tawanda, but I was also telling myself to say, trust the process, which is one of my favorite lessons. Just be where you are, be present. It's also part of the lessons. So and like I always tell people, I got rid of FOMO, being in hospital and being present to heal. I had no fear of missing out. I didn't I'm not there. So it can happen where it's happening, because where I am, it's also happening, you know. And that for me also opened a can of worms. Especially the first lesson that talks about never judge a book by its cover. I had a horrible experience with a nurse that was looking after me, and I've always struggled with weight. Weight has always been something. It might come in the second edition for this book because I didn't address it in here. It's a layer of insecurities, of pain, of past hurts that I had used to cover up. So every time people shine a light on, oh my God, you're overweight, in as much as I'm absolutely gorgeous and confident, I do know that I am overweight and I do struggle with it. So lesson one made me realize that in as much as you are so confident in who you are, you're beautiful and etc., people always have their judgment lenses on. They will always find fault, and they will always find something that will pull you down, tear you down, or slow you down. So yeah, it was a healing process for me when I was writing this book. I faced myself. There was nobody else, Sal. It was just me, the notebook. So I had enough time with my thoughts, I had enough time with whatever that I was processing. And there was a lot of tears and a few laughters here and there. But yes, I did go through a process of healing.
And so I mean the book is very, very intense. And you wouldn't think it because the chapters are so short. But it's like, I mean, they're like, when they say dynamite comes in small packages, I think everything you've described is the power and intensity that's coming in the small package. Like for me, in the first chapter, there's a beautiful turn of phrase as you are making this lesson. And I love it because it says so much, but it's so concise. And to me, that's the beauty of powerful writing. You can tell that it wasn't just slapped together because you were like, I'm going to write a book. I've got nothing else to do. Like it came from a wellspring of like deep, deep things that were happening. And it just hit me on a level like this, which is why I'm like, wow, Tawanda, I mean, this is like, I would be rereading this book every year because I'd be like, some of the stuff is so deep. So it's page 4 of the book, and it's the first chapter. And I wanted to just say, and it says, be at peace that you are not everyone's cup of tea. You will annoy others and in the same breath inspire others. So do you in your truth without sabotaging others. And I think that's so deep. That is like fire. Like, do you without sabotaging others? There's such balance. Like, you know what? It's so realistic, so there's none of that fluffy, flowery stuff that we sometimes get in motivational books or anything like it. It's real. It's like real life wisdom, but like such a balance as you show all sides of the story in one statement. And I'm like, wow, like you state the issue and then you point your son to this place where you are like, okay, but this is how you can be a decent human being in spite of all of this. And you do it in one sentence. I mean, come on. What a way to use your words. What a way to use your life and your pain. And what a way to like make it wisdom, and to make it something that's art. But that's also quite nourishing for the soul and really makes people pause and consider. Like, I really agree that it is a timeless message. And there are many of those timeless messages. And just so I'm trying not to get into trouble and like start reading quotes from every lesson, but also like on the topic of judging a book by its cover, in the next lesson, this lesson, so this is the one from lesson 1. The next time you go to a party, mingle with others who are not in your usual radar because of the look. Same age, of course. There are weirdos out there. Make it a habit to experience knowing people regardless of their appearance. However, trust your instincts. If something is off and the energy is not connecting, there is no need to force it, son. Oh, even now, I'm just warm all over. I'm like, there's the voice of a mother, but there's also the voice of like this wise woman, like I'm sorry, I am fangirling a bit. I'm sorry, but I mean, like that's why you all got to just go get the book. If you haven't got the book, you just got to get the book. Go and get the book. If you want the book, it's there on Amazon and Kindle. Go get the book right now. Or if you're in Harare or some of the cities in the country, you can DM Tendai Wenyasha Garwe on her Facebook page, and she will organize the book to you, and it's at a very affordable price if you want the hard copy as well. So I'm just saying, like, if you want to just feel the fangirling vibe, go get the book. Go get the book right now. So comments from YouTube. Beauty came from the ashes, Tendai definitely, and Wadzanai Gary just joined us a few minutes ago. Go my sister. So we got in the comments and a lot of love on this live. So it must be because the queen is in the house. So my next question, just a little bit on impact before we start talking about the publishing industry and what that's been like about you. But back to the issue of impact. This was meant to be a book with an audience of one, right? It was intimate. It was you talking about the not so good parts and then the good parts, and giving your son something to like help him walk the middle road and accept both without hurting himself. And then it became that for every other mother and son, every other human, every other adult. And it's like all over in hundreds and thousands, in places you never imagined when you started writing it would be there. So what has that been like? When it was now snowballing, were you like, hey, can we edit the book? Or were you like, yes, let's go for it? Like, from audience to one to the whole world, what was that like?
It was absolutely crazy because my coach, Makosi Masambasi, was the first one to take the book across the border. And she bought it, of course, for 10 times the price because she says she believed in it so much. So she took it to Dubai. And I was like, oh, I'm in Dubai. You know what I mean? And then she took it to Nigeria. And then it just started going all over the world. Of course, when I put it on Amazon, it started going everywhere: Zambia, South Africa. Then my older sister Chipo, Chipo Garwe, said to me, send me books in South Africa, and people will buy from me and I'll make sure people get them. So I sent her 20, and like that, off the shelf it went. Of course, her friends and herself and her son or sons were also buying the book. But I should say publishing this book, Selena, it was an extreme sport all on its own because my editor sent me, the back and forth. That is just tedious because when he sent me the first time, there were 40 lessons, right? And because I didn't know he was going to turn my wisdom into lessons, I was like, what? I wrote 40 lessons. Oh my God. So when I went through it, I was like, wait, there's one more, which is the last one, the attitude of gratitude, right? Always be grateful for everything. And I was grateful and thankful. So the 41st lesson was written when I was now out of hospital during edit. That's when I edited. But, oh, Sal, National Archives gave me the runaround. Can I just say that? Can we pause for effect? So, do I encourage you to do it on your own? Yes. Being self-published is fun, but it's also very, very tedious. And for me, with my new condition, the National Archives is not friendly at all. The distance from the car park to there, and then the stairs, and then, oh my God. And when I then finally got there, they told me, oh, we're on lockdown because it was during lockdown. And now you have to do it online, but the person only accesses it once. And I had wanted to publish it on my birthday, which is 7 November, but I then had to wait to the end of November to publish the book, which was okay. It was still within my birthday month. It was because the whole process was just all that. And then the cover design, which you love so much. I knew I wanted an envelope because I wanted the nostalgia of an AML envelope. But my young brother, Paida, was not from the era we were from. I don't know if it makes sense. So he's like now, and they're not sure about envelopes. So I was like, but I want an envelope and I want it like this. And we used to seal it with a kiss. So I want my lips, he was like, sis, gosh, and I want me and Tawanda to be a stamp. And I want the email because it's a letter to Australia. I mean, I had this whole thing. But because I also work in the creative industry, I thought it was my chance to show off that I have the right to speak. I have the right to say this. And my brother, and you have to give kudos to Paida. His name is Paida Moyo Garwe. He did absolutely amazing. Even when he sent me, I was like, what? Even the color, it was of an envelope. The kiss is there. So that process, Selena, that whole process was just a lot for me. And then finding a printer who was also good, and I would recommend him any day. I wanted gloss, and he said, no, it's an envelope. You don't put gloss, put, non-gloss. I'm forgetting the term. You see, it goes away. because then it will have the better effect for
finish.
it. So yeah.
Yeah. Matte
Yeah.
finish, yeah.
That was
Definitely.
those
Yeah. But it's so funny you say that about the envelope because just yesterday when I had this book out, my little niece was visiting and then I decided to make her tea. And she was on her phone and I was like, gosh, I actually can remember life before phones. I remember pen pals and the local letters without the airmail border. And then I remember airmail and I remember postcards and I remember all of those things and how like you would even write letters to your schoolmates when you were like in primary school. And then you'd see them when you're back at school and be like, hey, I was so happy you got the letter. And like when you get that letter in the mailbox, it would be like, oh, I need to just stop playing so I can spend time reading my letter. And like all up until my early teens, people were still writing letters and, then they became love letters. And like if your boyfriend traveled and went to Kumusha and he wrote you a letter, or like if his, was from the leafy northern suburbs and, they flew to England over the December holidays and he sent you an airmail letter with the stamps. And then then you open your letter and it'd be handwritten, oh gosh, I was like, I remember that. And I was like, now, and like, I remember all the way into dial-up emails, flip phones, Blackberries, and now we're doing touchscreen phones. And I was like, wow, either I'm a really woke young person who's experienced a lot of change, which is the story I'm going to go through, or to these people, I'm just sounding like a dinosaur because they were like, letters, what are you talking about? So it warms my heart that you spoke about that. And I'm glad that you're keeping it alive, even if it is nostalgic and retro. We get it. The ancestor millennials get it. So
so you made like my cheeks are so oh my god. Yes.
Yeah.
And
that's what they call you and me. We're ancestor millennials.
When I went to Banda, it was a whole thing. Shopping for stationery to write letters to our boyfriends at Marist Brothers. It had, like you're saying, it had to be email. They had to be like this beautiful. So I had like writing pads for my boyfriend because I did have one, and then for everybody else. So my mom always just be like, Naya, scan, you are buying too many stationery just for letters that we never get. I'm like, Mom, just stand in line. I'm trying to be a teenager here, So yeah, so I also did this for the parents because the note is what I wanted to create for them to then say, oh my God, I should write my son a letter. Because I don't think we write letters anymore. I don't even think we write emails. We are too much on WhatsApp. So I wanted people to know how personal this was, that it actually was handwritten. It is very personal. And when you do open it like you would a letter you used to receive back in the days. Yeah.
Definitely. And I mean, also because a letter there's nothing as intimate as a handwritten letter, like never. And so I hope that the baby millennials that are coming up after the ancestor millennials will be inspired to use their words in handwritten formats. Comments from the chat box, we've got, Wadzanaichi, your humor is life Tendai. Yes, I think she's one of the funniest guests we've had on the book club so far. I hope all of you are enjoying it. Yes, Wadzanai Garwe girls are writers, and it also seems like the Garwe team is strong creatively. And you said your brother did the design of the cover, which I love. Thank you for fighting through for us. No emojis on YouTube. Sorry, Sappy, but we feel the love. We're feeling the love. Wadzanai, can I just brag that I told her to write? Just saying. Yes, Wadzi. Just saying, hashtag you told her to write.
So Wadzi, it's true. Wadzanai Garwe is, they call me Mini. She calls me Mini Me. When she sings, she says Mini Me. When I crashed, I had just received brand new copies of Township Girls. Remember Township Girls? Wadzanai Garwe is in Township Girls. She's one of the people who put it together. So we also come from a family of writers. We are big academic people, very outspoken. The Mwenewajos, I think it's a whole clan thing. We are like that. So it's like I'm following her footsteps. Although what is just absolutely amazing. But yeah, Township Girls is also one of the most amazing books I've read. Life stories, like memoirs slash wisdom that is packed in one book. And I do agree. What's this like? Right, my Nini, just right. What else do you have to do? That's her voice. What else do you have to do, my Nini? Just right.
Well, that's good encouragement. And I think there's something about when somebody has done something and they encourage you, it just has so much more credibility and weight. And at the book club, we are very secretly excited about Township Girls, and we want to make it public and have them on, in next month or so. So I'm just dropping that out there. But definitely, writing about ourselves is one of the most powerful things that we want to do. And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about that. Like, what has that meant for you? Because we've got memoirs, we've got biography, we've got other formats like creative journalism, where you write a journalistic story with a creative writing style. Literary journalism is what they call it. And all of that is to do with writing about ourselves, personal essays, and to a certain extent, blogging even. And you've done that in this book, which is part memoir, I would say, and really all about writing about ourselves. What is the importance of that to the publishing industry and to the voice of the African women right now?
I think it is absolutely imperative that people start writing their stories, Selena. There's no one else out there who will share your story the way you would. Um, and and like you rightfully said, I think I read the most African authors when I was in hospital. Can I tell you how many books I read in the midst of all the writing? I read over 43 books. That's what I did. A week I was starting a book. Every week, yes. 43 books, and most of them were African writers. And African women have stories to tell. Sometimes they tell them in nonfiction because they don't want to put themselves out there. Sometimes it is their stories that turn creative writing. Sometimes it's motivational, it's memoirs, but stories must be told, because the things that happened in the past, the things that we are experiencing in the present, and the things that we hope to pass on to the future must be articulated and made sure that history now recognizes the African woman's voice, because it never was there. It was absent. Stories are told in the Bible, stories are told in the Quran, everywhere in religion. The voices of the women are absent, and more so African women, because the colonialists didn't see us as people. They made sure we stayed kumusha, looked after the kids, and yet we have the best and absolutely scandalous, fun, thriller stories to tell, whether by experience or by observation or by imagination. So we should all just be writing. Right, right, right.
Yes, yes. And yes, amen. The choir is saying amen. Preach, sister. So important. Margie Beza says that is so true. We have so much to share. Thank you for doing your part. And I must say, I salute you too. Thank you so much for doing your part. And it's so important. There's a Native American proverb I love to always use when I do a writing class or a seminar on self-publishing or anything like that in my day job when I'm not hosting the book live, which is those who tell stories rule the world. And so I think what you've captured there in terms of capturing our history, the who of who we are, and owning the story of ourselves is part of our ruling the world. Because how can you rule the world if you don't know what you are, who you are, what you stand for, And that's what we carry through in our story. So very, very powerful. Thank you for doing your part. Yeah. Wadanai Chiwariri, thanks for such inspiration. How much is the book going for? You can DM Tendai for those details. It's going for $10 in certain spaces, but it depends on your locale. So DM her for those details. Pamela Mhlanga Rawayo, stories must be told with a capital T. Watching from Mexico City. Hey, Mexico, we love you. Thank you for joining the book club. Please come and see us again. We're live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Yes, but stories must be told with a capital T. That is really powerful. Thank you, Tendai. People are loving you on the book club. I mean, we generally don't have this level of people are like, they're hooked. It's your humor and your wisdom shining through. So now, as we reach the close of the book club, could you close us out with a reading of a lesson that you think is prime and ready and the thing that African women need to hear the most right now from your book? Would you do that for us?
Right. Before I do read, the reason why for me it's very important is African women, we have been told to doubt ourselves, not necessarily embrace who we are, doubt where we are from, or even undermine whatever it is that we're going through, that the lenses we've been asked to wear have been too pink and we don't recognize them because, we have sunsets that shade our eyes and we have melanin that radiates differently. But what I learned through my whole journey, and one of my favorite lessons is lesson 7, which is trust the process, right? So trust the process basically says at every point in life, there's a process going on, whether you're aware of it or not, whether you approve of it or not, there's a process happening and you must learn to trust it. Always trust the process. Telling you to trust the process right now is encouraging me to trust my healing process. The process will not always be the same. Some will take longer than others to complete, but then nothing in this world will not come to an end. I'm learning that it take a while for me. I'm learning that it's going to take a while for me to be better. There has to be a process, one stage to the next. One thing, what you have to remember or has to happen for the next to begin to happen. So it is a process. There are no shortcuts. I have to follow the different stages that will eventually get me to walking again. So trust those stages, those levels, those steps within the process, and you'll have a better threshold of going through life without expecting anything further than you already have. I know now that there are all these things that are happening for a season, in this season for a reason. And then there's a diary extract that says, the other day, your uncle Vumai, one of my brother's friends, and my young daughter came to see me in hospital and say to me, I thank God that Tawanda is not around like this. Then I really took you away from me to protect you. You would have been all alone as I recover in hospital. I imagine life without me packing for you back to school, attending your rugby matches, or just the knowledge that your mom can show up whenever you call her. We all need our moms, regardless of how old we are, and who glad that you are there with your family and you're surrounded by love. But trust the process. I remember when your dad presented the idea of you Australia, I suffered a decision. It was when your grandmother, may her soul rest in peace. It was then your grandmother, may her soul rest in peace, who insisted I go along with the process and make your life better. My taking Gogo's advice and trusting the process has protected you and given you hope and a future. So if, like you say to me, if I were to give advice to African women, is to say there's so much that is definitely going on, whether it's political, personal, religious, financial, whether it's your children, it's your husband, it's yourself, it's whatever thing that you're facing. Trust that is being presented on your path because you're supposed to learn and grow from it. There's no reason to avoid it. There's no reason to circumvent it, because if you do try and avoid it, it will circle back. Because it has not been addressed. So if you keep going around the same mountain, and if you're a Christian, you know this, don't go around the same mountain avoiding a process you need to heal, deal, or get over. So just look at it head on. Tell yourself the truth. It's just you, Selena. It's you and your thoughts. So you tell yourself the truth. This I struggle with. This is how I'm going to deal with. Or I need help for someone to deal with, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a coach, whether it's a pastor, with whoever it is. But it's so private, the process you're going through. We're the ones who make it public and then bring shame to whatever it is that you're going through. But if you deal with it in the privacy of the process, oh my God, you would deal with it perfectly. And people will only see you shining because, that's what you then present to them.
Wow. And, that's powerful. And I think that is a lesson for us as African women. And it's definitely a lesson for me right now, today, with some of the things that I'm facing outside of the book club. So I thank you for sharing that with us. Margie Beza says, one stage of the process has to complete before the next one can begin. Amen. Safi Bachi, we must write down all of our oral stories. She's watching from YouTube. Thank you to everybody who's joined the live, whether you've joined from Facebook or YouTube, or whether you're watching this after the live, post live, as a video on either our Facebook page or wherever else this is broadcasting. I think this is broadcasting on Sokostina's page as well. So wherever you're watching from, you are welcome. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's never too late to post a comment. We'll definitely respond and get back to you. If you want to know where you can get a book, please DM Tendai. Her handle is at Tendai Wenyasha Garwe on Facebook. You can DM her. She's very professional. She will respond to you immediately and make an arrangement for you to get the book in the most easiest and efficient way. If you are outside of the country, there are some selected places where you can still get a hard copy. If not, it's on Amazon Kindle. Just type in the name and buy Tendai Garwe. The book is the title, A Letter to My Son, subtitle 40+1 Lessons for Life and Success. And if you want to tweet or speak more about the book, the hashtag is #LetterToMySon. And you can also tag Tendai Garwe here on Facebook at Tendai Wenyasha Garwe and Sokostina on Instagram as well as Twitter. So thank you very much for joining us. And thank you for Tendai for that amazing final reading as we closed off the show. Guys, as always, it's been a pleasure having you with us, and I can't wait to see you again next week. We've got something really special planned that's going to be a little bit different than what we've been doing, 7 p.m. here on Facebook and YouTube. Good night. Thank you.